All right, it's a few minutes to 4 p.m. Welcome to News Now with me, Hibaq Saeed, where we tell you all the stories that are making headlines so far. To start us off, the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Erastus Ethekon, has assured the public that tomorrow's by-elections will be conducted transparently and fairly. Ethekon said the commission is fully prepared to conduct a transparent and credible election. He urged candidates and citizens to maintain peace and report any complaints through legal channels. He also noted that security has been beefed up at polling stations to ensure voters cast their ballots without fear.
And we expect the polling process to continue peacefully until evening when we close the polling exercise. And then we move to the next phase, which is to count the votes and to give the people of Kasipul the results that they deserve. Because it's the people of Kasipul who will elect their leaders. It is not IBC that is in the ballots. Our role is very clear in law. Our role is to facilitate the people of Kasipul, and indeed the people of Baringo, Malava, Magarini, Banisa, and all the wards, to be able to exercise their sovereign will to elect their leaders, the leaders of their choices, free from any coercion, intimidation, or violence. So there should be that free will reflected in the ballot tomorrow. And of course, there are a number of concerns also that have reached us, and we keep addressing those concerns as they come. I want to remind the country and the
Right, tomorrow, Kenyans in several parts of the country will head to the polls to elect their preferred candidates in several hotly contested by-elections. Our teams are stationed across the country. We now connect with Sydney Chazima in Kasipul, and we get to hear what exactly is happening. Let's listen in. All right, we seem to be having a tiny technical issue, but we could head over to Malava, where Apollo Kimani will tell us more. But before then, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has defended the government's decision to withdraw the security officers assigned to Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya and Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale, saying the move followed established procedure. Now, speaking in Malava, the CS said the officers were recalled after the leaders were found at scenes marred by violence and political chaos. Murkomen noted that the officers are currently under questioning and that action will be taken if they are found to have facilitated any disturbance. He assured residents of maximum security during the by-election, emphasizing that adequate personnel has been deployed across all polling stations.
The official position by the National Police Service is that those officers have been called to provide information, National Police Service, as to how they found themselves in the midst of goons and planning of violence and so forth. If it is they are found culpable, the appropriate disciplinary action will be taken against those officers. If they are innocent, of course, they will go back to work. But what we are trying to protect them from also is the possibility of mixing up with goons with machetes and ends up finding themselves in crossfire with police officers.
All right, let's touch base with our reporter, Sydney Chazima. Maybe if you could just tell us what exactly is happening in Kasipul. Sydney, can you hear me? Maybe if you could just tell us what exactly is happening in Kasipul, knowing that tomorrow is going to be a big day for that particular area.
Well, apologies for that technical hitch earlier on. Hibaq, what I can tell you is whatever from CS Murkomen has just put it out there, that there is a heavy deployment of police officers in Kasipul constituency who are currently just arriving here at Agoro Sare High School, which has been designated as the constituency tallying center. Earlier on, we were told that we will be expecting around 900 police officers. And right here, as we were just here, we've been able to see officers drawn from several police stations, all the way from Kisii County, all the way from Kisumu County in Migosi. We've seen some coming from as far as Mbita, and even polling stations in Kitutu Chache, just arriving here in readiness for the exercise of tomorrow. And what has been also going on around here is that presiding officers and their deputies have been picking strategic, or I beg your pardon, non-strategic election materials, which include the booths, which include the ballot boxes, and heading right to the designated polling stations across the five wards in Kasipul constituency, which is hosting around 142 polling stations, which is expected to host around 67,513 voters who are registered in Kasipul constituency. And as you've rightly put it, CS Murkomen was around here, and we posed a question to him asking if these areas have a heavy deployment of police, how will it impact the voter who will be coming out to vote? As in, we know that there are some voters, when they go out there and see a heavy deployment of police like this we are seeing here in Kasipul, some may shy away, and this may be a deterrence for violence and also discourage some voters. And he said that this is an assurance to all the voters that when they come out here, the election is protected and there is peace, and they can exercise their constitutional right and come out to vote tomorrow early in the morning. So right here, the police officers are just having, let's say, like a meal before they depart to the various polling stations across Kasipul constituency in readiness to prepare for tomorrow's big day. So right here, from here, that is the update I can give you as far as now, Hibaq, unless there is a question from you.
Could just tell us what's the mood in Kasipul at the moment? We know that this is going to be a big day tomorrow. What are the people saying on ground, especially concerning the security challenge that we are seeing, that there are a lot of police officers there? Give us what is happening on ground.
What I can tell you from the ground is there are those who are upbeat and there are those who are not so upbeat about this election, in that the events that preceded this D-Day were a bit scary to some of them, in that the violence may have put off some of them. But when you speak to a majority who are mostly supporters of many of the contestants, they are telling you that tomorrow is the day that most of them are looking forward to actualizing a dream of having a leader of their choice. So it's almost a polarizing sort of election, where the mood is right, the mood is not right for others. So right now we cannot really gauge how this is going to turn out, and the queues on the line and how far, how long they will stretch tomorrow is what will give a clearer picture. Remember, we were speaking to one of the returning officers right here at this polling county tallying center. She was just telling us that mostly, historically, during by-elections, they usually expect around 40% of the turnout. And speaking to 40%, that should be around 28,000 or 30,000 voters who are expected to turn out. And these are things we shall be looking at tomorrow, right from 6 a.m., just to tell you how the turnout will be looking. And that is how we can really gauge how the people of Kasipul anticipated for this by-election. Hibaq.
All right. Thank you so much, Sydney, for that. We will be now, looking into the security matter. Earlier on, we did see that the police regional commander was talking on Berry North and some of the things that have been done there. Let's listen in.
maafisa kutoka sub county ya Mbeere North na hizi vituo zingine za kaunti ya Embu. Sisi zote tumejiandaa vilivyo. Ofisa wetu wamepewa maagizo ambayo wataweza kufanya katika mahali wanaenda kusimamia kura. Kwa hivyo wao wamejiandaa kabisa na tunajua wataenda kufanya kazi nzuri kulingana na maandalizi. Pia tumeandaa, hakuna mahali tumewacha bila watu wa kuangalia watu. Wananchi wote wa Mbeere tunawahakikishia usalama. Watakuwa salama popote walipo, manyumbani zao, wakuje wapige kura. Usalama umeimarishwa kila mahali.
Okay. Mnapeana maafisa wangapi wa polisi wanaenda kwenye uchaguzi hii?
Wale ambao wanaenda kwa uchaguzi tuko na polling centers ziko 134 na kwa hizo zote tuko na askari wawili na pia tumeweka wengine ambao pia watakuwa wanatembea kwa hizo polling centers zote. Maafisa tuko nao ya kutosha ya kuhakikisha kwamba mwananchi wote wa Mbeere North ako salama na atapiga kura kwa usalama.
Okay. Jana kulikuwa na madai kutoka kwa upinzani kwamba mtakuwa na plain clothes police officers ambao watakuwa wanavuruga wananchi. Je, hilo ni kweli ama vipi?
Hiyo si kweli kwa sababu hao pia ni walinda usalama na hata kama ni hawana sera za kazi tunawajua na tumekuwa tukifanya kazi kushirikiana nao na watakuwa kwa kulinda usalama.
Kwa hivyo watakuwa na police wa plain clothes.
Wamekuwa kwa kila kazi yote tukifanya, tunafanya pamoja na wao. Ni wetu na tunakuwa wote kila mahali tuko. Wao ni kulinda usalama.
Asante sana.
Right, just an update on matters security, and our teams are deployed in all of, the regions in order to ensure that we get the best coverage that we possibly can, bringing it to you as fast as we possibly can. Tomorrow is going to be the D-Day. Security has been a major concern. Now let's cross over to Malava. Apollo Kimani, if you could just tell us what exactly is happening there.
Hibaq, good afternoon from Malava Boys High School, where preparations here are in high gear. As you can see behind me, there is a whole lot of security officers moving into position, ready for dispatch to other places in this vast constituency, which has 7 wards and 198 polling stations. On my other side, we have presiding officers also preparing to take the voting materials to the various polling stations to allow people to be able to exercise their democratic right tomorrow. So preparations are in high gear here in Malava, and all is smooth so far. Earlier today we had Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen coming here, and he did talk about the preparedness and the readiness of the government to take charge as far as security matters are concerned. And he did also talk about the withdrawal of security for Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya and also Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale, who also protested this morning. And he did say they were involved in acts of violence, acts of hooliganism, and therefore that's why the police officers have been recalled, and they will be interrogated to find out whether they played a role in those acts of hooliganism before they can be returned to their respective leaders. So that's what Murkomen said. But on the other hand, we had DCP Deputy Party Leader Cleophas Malala, Seth Panyako, and Boni Halwale saying they have information the government wants to intimidate the people by spreading propaganda that the election will be rigged to be able to force people not to come out tomorrow. But the opposition leaders are telling people, please turn up in their numbers. And they are also calling for vigilance, telling their supporters to be vigilant because they were arguing there's a plot to use police officers to be brought inside the polling stations and to mix with agents. That one of the issues they were claiming. It's just an allegation. We are yet to verify that. And then, of course, there's the issue of accusing the ruling Kenya Kwanza of issuing donations and campaigning in the last minute. So those are some of the issues going on here in the ground, Hibaq.
Thank you so much, Apollo, for that. Now, Kenya's inequality crisis continues to deepen despite national economic growth, with new data showing that the richest 125 individuals now control over 77% of the country's wealth. About 50% of citizens survive on less than $1 a day, as poverty levels have surged by 37% in a decade. Debt repayments now consume 68.8% of the national budget, while women earn just 65 shillings for every 100 shillings earned by men, and only 13% own agricultural land. Kenya now ranks 16th globally in wealth inequality.
Is borrowing, on average, 3.5 billion shillings every single day. Kenya is borrowing 145 million shillings every hour. So by the time you are here in this hall, the hours you've taken, by the time you go, you can calculate how much. Why? In 2022, the debt in Kenya was 8.7 trillion Kenya shillings. Currently, it is over 12.5 trillion Kenya shillings. We have borrowed over 3.5 trillion Kenya shillings. Hibaq borrowed a net of 1.2 trillion in his 10 years. So Kenya is borrowing in a year, what Hibaq was borrowing could have borrowed in 3 decades.
All right, let's get sporty. Harambee Starlets ready for Algeria, and they are saying that the Harambee Starlets will have to be at their best to overcome African powerhouses Algeria in the first of true friendly matches. The Beldine or Demba-led side is using tonight's match to sharpen skills and tactics ahead of next year's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. This marks Kenya's second ever appearance at the continental showpiece after their debut in 2016. Right, that concludes our bulletin this afternoon. Thank you for being a part of News Now. My name is Hibaq Said.